Hi, I'm Caitlin, and this is my group, and we did our project on calendars. So what is a calendar and why do we need it? So a calendar is a system for organizing dates for administrative purposes, social, religious holidays. And why we need it is exactly that reason, is to make sure that we keep track of what we're doing. And so every person has a schedule, and we all have kind of a template for how things are going to run. And then here's just the funny new calendar.
All right, the ideas for calendars all started in Egypt, and they're based off of agriculture. The calendar in Egypt was very similar to the calendar we use today, as you can see right here. So the calendars in Egypt, the days per week, there was 10 days per week, and 3 weeks per month, which was 30 days, which is very similar to our months today. But there was only 4 months in a season, and there was only 3 seasons per year instead of like today we have 4 seasons. And it was based off of their agriculture, because only during certain seasons were they able to grow crops. And this was all based off of the flooding of the Nile River. So once a year the Nile would flood, and that's when they would grow their crops. But then the ideas for the calendar were later implemented in Rome by this guy, Julius Caesar. And he made what is called the Julian calendar, and the Julian calendar is very similar to the calendar we use today. It consisted of 365 days in a year, with a leap year every 4 years of 366 days. And it was proposed in 46 BC by Julius Caesar. And it became the most predominant calendar in the Roman world and in much of the European world up until the 1500s. This calendar averaged 365.25 days in a year. And every 400 years, this would make it so that the calendar would be 3 days off, which was a problem.
So not long, or pretty long after when the Gregorian was being made up in 1545, the Roman Church got together with their council to issue Pope Paul III to reform the calendar, so that only under these conditions that the new calendar would be mainly focused on celebrating Easter on the day that it was originally celebrated with the early church, and make sure that there's no drifting later on. 300 years was too short. So we spoke about what calendars, why they were originally made, but later on they started noticing there was drifting. So what they would do would be, churches would add extra holidays so that they can adjust the calendar each year. But the politicians, the state politicians, would add holidays so that it would align with their church, with their terms. They weren't too focused on the calendar alignment at all. And early on in the 8th century, so about 800 to 900 years after Christ, scholars noticed that the calendar was drifting off. So what they did was they wrote it. They got mathematicians like the Venerable noticed that they were already 3 days off, and Roger Bacon noticed that in the 13th century that they were already a week off all seasons. And in comes Pope Gregory XIII. So back to 1550. They noticed that he got a bunch of mathematicians in, and they adjusted it so that it would be a lot closer to the tropical year, so that it would be more accurate. So every 365.2425 days fill the year. That would mean every 1 day would be only off by every 3,000 226 days, 3 years. And the Gregorian calendar was very close. It was eerily close to the tropical year. And those are the rules for each leap year.
Alright, so a lot like what Jaffer said, the leap years between the Gregorian and Julian calendar are different because of adding the special rules to the Gregorian calendar. By doing that, it makes it 365.2425 days, a little bit closer to like a tropical year. So mathematicians and Scientologists figure that it's only one day fast every 3,226 years.
Did you say Scientologists?
Yeah.
Try again.
Okay. That what would they be? Like mathematicians, yeah. Okay, yeah. They figured that it would be fast by one day every 3,226 years. So what happened in September 1752? Well, the Gregorian calendar was initiated in about 1582. It was only for smaller parts of Europe. And then 170 years later, Britain made an act called the New Calendar Act in 1750, and to start initiating the Gregorian calendar. And so 1752, September 2nd, it took place, and that's why that it's missing 11 days.
So, here's a fun fact about George Washington. George Washington's birthday says that he was born February 11, 1732/31. And this was because in 1752, they adjusted the calendar to Gregorian calendar. This changed when his birthday, because in 1732 is when they made the adjustments. And this changed birthday from March 1st to January 1st. They changed the start of the year from March 1st to January 1st, causing George Washington's birthday to be off by 376 days.
So this is my fun fact. Between the years 1901 and 2099, the Julian calendar is 13 days behind our calendar. So on December 25th of this year, it would actually be December 12th if it was the Julian calendar, which means we have to wait 13 more days until Christmas. It's a long time.
So my fun fact, so the Gregorian calendar wasn't implemented widespread at the same exact time. Many countries waited later to implement the new calendar. So because of this, in 1908, the Russian Olympic team actually made it late to the Olympics and weren't able to compete in several events because they hadn't changed from the new calendar yet. And then how it affects us today. So if we didn't have the new calendar, our coldest month would be in April, and our warmest month would be in October. And that, for us, wouldn't really make sense. And what I also thought was very interesting is that the big reason that the Gregorian calendar was pushed to be implemented is because the Catholic Church wanted Easter to happen on the same Sunday every single year. So the church had a big reason as to why this new calendar was implemented.
And that's what calendars are.
What is the name of the current calendar being used here in the United States?
Gregorian.
The Gregorian, but they also call it the Christian calendar. Early one was made the Christian calendar. In the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Is that accurate?
I think so.
You mean like it was like the tropical year, or like?
Like spot on.
I'm like, the calendar you just held up right now as an example. What's the name of that calendar?
one we use today is the currently the Gregorian calendar.
Get him. Questions?
What's the tropical year?
It's the sun's like rotation around, or sorry, the Earth's rotation around the sun.
Chris?
Why is there 11 days missing in the calendar?
Because when Britain made the change to the Gregorian calendar, they had to keep up with other parts of Europe, and so that's why they took out 11 days.
Because the seasons were off about 11 days, so they shifted
The first, Amanius, but the first people to convert were the papal states, so anyone under the Vatican, but about a century later, if you're still awake, they ended up converting around the rest of the world.
Yeah, so my question is for you, Kai. The Egyptian calendar, you said it started through Egyptian agriculture, and when the Nile flood or something.
Yeah.
So do you know when they actually started?
It was long. I think a couple thousand BC. It's long ago. Yeah.
So it's because of the Nile flood, is that how they
Yeah, it was
started?
based off of the flooding in the Nile because only once a year they're able to grow their crops. So they made a calendar based off of that. And then lined up with like the years we use today.
So what were important factors taken into consideration while creating all of these calendars?
It was mainly like crops, agriculture, seasons, because certain seasons were needed for them to grow different crops in agriculture. And it started with Egypt, and then they got their ideas from Egypt, and they saw that it worked well, so then they moved it on and made it the Julian calendar.
So there's like no data used, just kind of environmental changes, delegated calendar changes?
No, it was consistent throughout the years.
What is the earliest known calendar, the oldest we've ever found?
Aztec.
Since Sumerian times, but I don't know when that is. But since
So, why did you begin with Egypt if the Sumerian civilization predates the Egyptians?
Because Julius Caesar took his ideals from Egypt.
Okay.
Any more questions or?